original sources, which is Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. It comes from Allah directly to us. It's not like directly to us. It went through the Prophet Muhammad SAW, and then the Prophet tell us what is the instruction, what are we supposed to do, what is the objective of that, what are the objective of us living in this world. Okay, and then the other source is As-Sunnah, where come from the Prophet sharing, from Prophet doing, Prophet how he acts every day, what is he saying, and what is his approval. So, and then we learned about ijtihad. Ijtihad is the sources of law which comes from the when we people make opinions, okay, based on Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. Okay, and then today we're gonna see the whole stuff that we are learning this the last 2 weeks, which is the development history of Islamic law. Okay, so first you're gonna look at the definition, the Sharia definition. We went through it before. Let's like recap. And then we're gonna look at the definition of usul al-fiqh, which is usul al-fiqh. The word usul come from the word's origin. Al-fiqh means the hukum. So we want to know the usul al-fiqh means the origins of the hukum, okay? And then we will look at the first stage, where we have the primary and secondary sources. And then the second stage, we have practice of ijtihad. The third stage of development is the closing of the gate of ijtihad. And then what is the conclusion, which is the future of Islamic law. So for the introduction part, okay, so the word Sharia was used by Arabs before the advent of the messenger of God, which is the Prophet Muhammad SAW, and the revelation of the Quran. It means that the word Sharia have been used by the Arabs for a long time. Okay, it means the road to the watering place or the path to be followed. It was used by Arabs, which means a place where water is stored for the use of the people of that area, so that such watery place was also intended for the cattle of the inhabitants. So basically, when we have religion with us, when we have what we call as Sharia, it means we can continue living. We like I said in the first class, we human can live without food for quite a long time, but we can't live without water. So water is the most important part, the most important thing in our life for us to continue living. So that is Sharia. In legal sense, Sharia means to set the laws and to determine it. So it doesn't, when we say about Sharia law, we do not only follow what we have in Al-Quran and As-Sunnah, but sometimes we have to determine what is the ruling, what is the hukum that we're supposed to, that we are supposed to follow, just because it is a new thing. Okay, we develop, the world develop, we transform, we have this revelation. So because of that, we keep on need to determine the hukum or the rulings of certain activities or certain activities. Okay, so it means a path apparently to seek felicity and salvation, and according to Al-Qurtubi, it is a path which leads to success. In this verse 45:18, thus we put you on the right way, with the Shariatan of religion, so follow it and follow not the whimsical desire, hawa, of those who have no knowledge. So we, you guys, the intelligent people, the excellence of other peoples. So you have to, when you have the knowledge, when you have the opportunity to learn about your religions, so of course you have to follow the right path instead of following your own desire, or following people who doesn't know. Okay, according to Abdullah Yusuf Ali, Shariatan means the right way of religions. So according to the commentators, the word Sharia in the statement 42:13 refers to understanding of the oneness of God. So it also means, Sharia also means understanding about Allah, okay, the oneness of God, to believe that God is one, that is the most fundamental principle in Islam. Okay, Abdullah Yusuf Ali translate it as a law, and Maududi said is a way of life. So these are all the definition that you can get in the Al-Quran, explaining about what is Sharia. So you can also look at these two surah. They have hearts wherewith they understand not, but the hypocrites do not understand. So basically, is a knowledge, is a way of life. It's telling us how we're supposed to manage our daily life, how we're supposed to conduct ourselves with human beings, with environment, with animals, and other things. Okay. So the definition of usul al-fiqh. Usul al-fiqh, or the roots of Islamic law. So now let's start previously where we are discussing about the definition of Sharia. Now we come to the one specific area, which is usul al-fiqh, relating about hukum. Okay, it is the root of Islamic law, expound the indications and method by which the rules of fiqh are deduced from their source. Sorry. So, fiqh, in other words, these indications are found mainly in the Quran and Sunnah, which are the principal sources of Sharia, in conformity with the body of principle and methods which are collectively known as usul al-fiqh. Usul al-fiqh as the methodology of law, the science, the sources, jurisprudence. So the main difference between fiqh and usul al-fiqh, let me read first, okay? Fiqh concerned with the knowledge of the detailed rules of Islamic law in its various branches, and usul al-fiqh concerned with the methods that are applied in the deduction of such rules from their sources. Fiqh, in other words, is the law itself, whereas usul al-fiqh is the methodology of law. So now, usul al-fiqh, like I said, is the origin of the rulings. Okay, we want to know where it comes from. When you say that you cannot distribute your property to your adopted child more than wanted shares. Okay, so where do you get that kind of ruling? So you get it from Al-Quran. Which surah, which verse saying it? So we wanted to know what are the roots of that particular hukum. Okay, so that's why it's stated here. It mainly found in Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. Okay, like what I said, harta yang kita nak bagi kepada anak angkat tidak boleh melebihi jumlah 1/3. Mana jumpa? Mana dapat hukum tersebut? Okay, kita dapat daripada Al-Quran. Okay, that is the principal thing. So usul al-fiqh adalah satu proses, is one process for you to determine where do you get that hukum, how you come to that conclusion. Are you like comparing these hukum, these activities and another activities, like what you like what we have learned before about qiyas. Okay, so usul al-fiqh is the methodology, is the process for you to get that particular hukum. Okay, the science of the sources, the jurisprudence. So fiqh, when we say about fiqh, it means the rules, but usul al-fiqh is the process, is the methodology. Okay, sorry, concerned with the methods that are applied in the. Okay, so fiqh basically is the law, whereby usul al-fiqh is the process, is the methodology. Okay. Okay, so the need for the methodology of usul al-fiqh become prominent when unqualified persons attempted to carry out ijtihad, and the risk of error and confusion in the development of Sharia. So why usul al-fiqh is very important? Why we need to learn about the jurisprudence, the methodology, the method, how to get the sources. Why is it important? Because sometimes there are unqualified people who do not know the process and then come to one conclusion which is wrong, which is contradict with Sharia, with Islamic teaching. So because of that, the error can cause confusion. So because of that, by understanding what you guys are doing now, learning about this thing, and probably after this you're gonna continue your study at master level, you're gonna learn it very deeply on how you come to certain rulings, for example, then you're gonna be the Islamic jurist. Okay, we have the late Yusuf Al-Qaradawi, we have we also have Dr. Wahbah Al-Zuhaili. These are the names of the Islamic jurists who understand deeply about the usul al-fiqh methods. They know deeply about the Islamic jurisprudence methodology. So that's why they can cut people, the whole world, Muslim are coming to them asking about what are their opinions about certain new things that we are now facing. So what is their opinion about the ruling? So because they were the people who understand stuff. Okay, so the principal objective of usul al-fiqh is to regulate ijtihad. When you know you have the knowledge about usul al-fiqh, then only then it's proper for us, for you, for me, to practice ijtihad, to give our opinion about things. If you are not the expert, if you do not know how to come into one conclusion, you just cannot randomly give your opinion. Okay, and to guide juries in his effort at deducing the law from its sources. So this knowledge of usul al-fiqh will help you to come to a right conclusion. So the purpose of usul al-fiqh is to help the juries to obtain an adequate knowledge of the sources of Sharia and of the methods of juristic deduction and interference. So remember last time we learned about this thing. Let me show you. First, this one. This is one of the example where there are certain process that you have to go through before you come into one conclusion, before you come up with one rulings. Okay, like one hukum. So it does not happen like, okay, we already learned it with Dr. Hidayat, so now we know how to do it. No, you have to know it in details. What we learn is only on the surface. Okay, so you have to like fulfill all the criteria for it to be an original case. And then what is the effective cause? You have to know the details before you come to a conclusion. Okay, so usul al-fiqh also regulates the application of al-qiyas, istihsan, istishab, istislah, and then we also have etc. here, masalih mursalah, we have sa'ad al-zara'i, we have uruf and other things. Okay, whose knowledge help the jurist to distinguish as to which method of deduction. And then besides that, by understanding usul al-fiqh, you also can determine these particular activities or these particular things that you need to come with a ruling. It will fall under which category of sources of law. Okay, will it come under istihsan, or is this you have to develop it through the method of al-qiyas? Do you have to fulfill the bucket list of uruf? So that's why what I'm telling you, that by learning usul al-fiqh, you can determine where it will fall under which categories of sources of law. Okay. Furthermore, usul al-fiqh enables the juries to ascertain and compare strength and weakness in ijtihad and to give preference to that ruling of ijtihad which is in close harmony with the Sharia law. So what we wanted is to come into right conclusion, which is in line with the Sharia teaching. So the importance of Islamic, how to remove this? Okay, cannot. Okay, so the importance of Islamic jurisprudence. So remember, human beings have been created by Allah for us to serve Him. Okay, and then we wanted to create an environment wherein we uphold whatever the Sharia teaches, whatever Allah told us to do, we wanted to hold into it. Okay, so every Muslim in particular must well aware if she or he is leading his life or her life according to Allah's order. Okay, we wanted to continue living according to the Sharia teaching. Then it shows how important for us to understand, okay, what is the importance of Islamic jurisprudence, because we wanted to know whether there are certain things that we can do, okay. Can we use the internet? Is it okay for us to follow certain trends? Okay, can we celebrate Halloween? Because we wanted to because nowadays we are living in a very fast changing world. So there are trends coming up from all over the world, coming up from the Western area, is coming from the Eastern. So we wanted to know which things that we can follow and what things that we can't we should avoid or ignore. Okay, so in this verse, Surah At-Taubah, verse 1 to 2, Allah say it is not proper for the believer to go forth all together. There should be a group from every band that goes out, which remains behind, acquiring and understanding in matters of their religion, so that they are able to admonish to the others on their return, so that they will guide themselves. So from this surah, we understand that we have to understand our own every matters in our religion, so that we can live according to Sharia teaching. And then it also illustrates that people have to people have to decide, people have to determine on certain new things, so that we can ensure that we do not fall into wrong teachings. Okay, so last this is only this is just a recap. Okay, we went through the primary sources and secondary sources before, but I have to go through it so that you can understand the development of the Sharia law. So we have here Al-Quran, As-Sunnah, Ijma' and Qiyas. So the first stage of the development of Sharia law is the developmental and foundational stage. Remember last time we don't, when before the coming of the Prophet, before the Al-Quran had been revealed to us human, we just live the way we wanted. Okay, we don't have any guidance, we don't have any leader to instruct us what we're supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do. We just live freely. Okay, so the first stage focus on the development and foundation of the Sharia law, okay, the fiqh itself. This stage begins when the Prophet Muhammad SAW received the revelation at the age of 40 in the year 610 until his demise, which extend over a period of 23 years. So the first stage is the very important part, which is the root of the development of Sharia law, where it started when our Prophet Muhammad SAW received the revelation of Al-Quran. Okay, so this period can further be divided into the 13 years before Hijrah and the 10 years thereafter. So the first stage is the 23 years of revelation of Al-Quran. During the Prophet Muhammad times, and then before Hijrah, okay, the 13 years, and then the last part is the 10 years after Hijrah. So this is the first stage, okay, that makes like 23 plus 13, 36, like 46 years is the first stage. Most of the verses revealed prior to Hijrah, so before Hijrah, the ayah, the verses of Al-Quran that have been revealed to us only focus on the Aqidah. Okay, our belief, the theology, the doctrine, establishing the existence of Allah. So we wanted people to first believe Allah, understand the religion, know what is it all about, and responding to the non-Muslim. And then we are the verses are trying to explain the non-believer and reaffirming the finality of the prophethood of the Prophet Muhammad SAW in the hearts of the believers. So we wanted to instill into people's heart that what is Islam, what is Allah, who is Allah, sorry, who is Allah. So we wanted to make sure that they believe in the religion first. Okay, there were, however, some fiqh law that were revealed that include the obligation to perform the 5 daily prayers. So among other things that were revealed to us is the instruction for us to perform our prayers daily, 5 times daily. Once the Muslim community had been established in Medina after the Hijrah, gradually more and more of the laws were revealed in order to govern the affair and life of the individuals and the community and the newly founded Islamic State. So only after Hijrah, the Quranic verses that have been revealed to us focus on our daily life. How we're supposed to talk to people, how we're supposed to dress, how we're supposed to, what works, what occupation can we do, what the activities that is prohibited, and then how you who you can marry, how you're supposed to get married, etc., etc. lah. And then how you're supposed to govern your country, etc. All right. Okay. So this is the first stage. Okay. So during this moment, we are relying basically on our Quran, As-Sunnah, Ijma, and also Qiyas. So during the 10 years, we witnessed the application and subsequent approval of the 4 major sources of evidence in Islam, and more specifically in fiqh. So we are relying on the verses of Al Quran, and also whatever the prophets are doing, are saying, or approve. And then there are certain things that we have to perform the ijtihad, where we focus on ijma and qiyas. So there will be like discussion among the among the Muslim people, the Sahaba, the Prophet, and then we are also relying on our qiyas. Okay, so I'm not gonna read one by one. Okay, but let's look at it briefly. So the first primary sources are the Al-Quran, which is the holy book of Muslim transmitted to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the God through Jibril. So it is the most authoritative and sacred text. It is the books of guidance. And then the Islamic jurists unanimously agree that the primary source of law and the most authoritative is Al-Quran. Okay, and then the second one we have with us As-Sunnah, which is demonstrated by the Prophet's sayings, action, and also approval of statement and acts by Muslim. So according to some explanation here. Hadiths are the collection of traditions containing saying, actions of the Prophet that with accounts of his daily practice. So during the it constitute one of the major source of guidance for Muslim. Apart from Al-Quran, during the first few decades after the Prophet Muhammad's death, those who directly knew him, shared and collected quotations and stories related to the Prophet's life. So we remember after the first stage, the Prophet is still with the Muslim people. So they are relying on him very much. So if they have any problem, they will just go to the Prophet and ask him or get his opinion, or they are relying on his action to see how he conducts himself daily, how the Prophet walk, how the Prophet talk, how the Prophet sit, how the Prophet conducting himself, generally. So only after his death, the companions started to write everything, try to memorize, try to remember what they see, what they saw, what they heard, and then they start to collect everything and then put it in a written form. So within the first 2 centuries after the Prophet's death, scholars conducted a thorough review of the stories, tracing the origins of each quotation, along with the change of narrators through whom the quotation was passed. So they wanted to make sure that this is the original or the authentic things. Like nobody tried to maneuver or trying to fake stuff. So they wanted to make sure that this is the authentic sources of law lah. So because of that, we have six we have this six what we call this sources of sunnah, sources of hadith, which is Sahih Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, Al-Bukhari, An-Nasa'i, and also Muslim, that we can refer to, because these are the six authentic hadiths. Okay, so definition of ijma, we know that this is the determination, resolution, and agreement upon something. So basically all the mujtahid are gonna sit together, discuss about certain stuff, and come into a conclusion unanimously. It means that no one 100% they must get approval, or they must get every people to agree on certain things. Okay, every each of them. Okay, so al-qiyas is comparing or making two things equal. Okay, basically these are the technical meaning, where you have to go through certain process, the original case, what is the new case, and then we wanted to know what is the effective cause before we come into a conclusion. So, these are the methods of al-qiyas. Okay, so after that recap, we come back to our topic today. There are four main sources of Islamic law: Al-Quran, As-Sunnah, Ijma, and Qiyas. There are other sources such as Istihsan, Istishab, Al-Masalih Mursala, Uruf, Istislah, and many others. So, like I said, Al-Quran and As-Sunnah, well, basically we do not practice ijtihad. We do not have any opinion on it. Okay, for Al-Quran, we take whatever the Al-Quran told us to do, that part by part, every part of it, okay. And then for As-Sunnah, we just follow it directly from whatever the prophets are saying, doing, or approve. Okay, but for Ijma and Qiyas, we depend much on this Khalifa Ar-Rashidin. We depends on the Muslim juries. But for Istihsan, Istishab, Al-Masalih Mursala, and Uruf are the things that come in later. Okay, after the first stage, after we are done with the first stage. Okay, so now we come to the second stage, which is the practice of ijtihad. Okay, remember, we also have the practice of ijtihad here in Ijma and Al-Qiyas, but these people who are doing this, who are practicing Ijma and Al-Qiyas, they live closer to the Prophet's time. So some of them are the students of the Prophets. They are the students of the Khalifa. They are the Sahaba, the Sahaba of the Prophet. So that's why it is more credible as compared to I don't know how to say this. This is not the primary sources, also not the secondary sources, but the other sources. Okay, here. Okay. Apa tadi nak cakap? I pun dah lupa. Okay, so the second stage of development of Sharia, during the Prophet's time, the foundations and principles of jurisprudence were established. Thus, the duty of later scholar was to utilize this and deduce ruling on new issues. This period witnessed the spread of Islam beyond the Arabian Peninsula, and with the result, the Muslim interacted with various other non-Arabic communities, which subsequently resulted in more new issues that required Sharia rulings and verdicts. The juries and jurisconsult, which is the muftis, were required to apply themselves in resolving these matters. So this period was one of the great academic progress. Fiqh maxims were written, and many were engaged in reporting and transmitting hadith and interpreting the Quran. Okay, like what I have mentioned before. During the Prophet times, they are living together. They were living together with the Prophet, so it's easier for them to make reference. Okay, so during that time, they had already established quite a number of rulings. Okay, because they had discussed everything and then put everything into a written form. We have the six we have the six hadiths, the six authentic hadiths. So the foundation is already there. In the second stage, what these juries are doing, what the scholars are doing, they will just follow whatever they have there. Okay, they just utilize it. They just have to take it and then practice it in their daily life. Okay, but however, of course, when Islam is expanding, Islam was expanding during that time, we also make a lot of communications. For example, we basically Islam traveled throughout the world, and we met a lot of other people who is non-Muslim people. So what happened? They also have their own daily life practice. They have their own culture, their own traditions. So learning from these learning from these new things, we have to come into conclusion whether this trend can be followed or not. So because of that, we also make certain rulings during the second stage, but relying much on whatever foundation and principle that had been established during that time. Okay, we have this fiqh maxim. Okay, among others, the fiqh maxim, for example, okay, untuk maxim fiqh ni ada 5. Kejap. For example, apa ni? Contohnya, sesuatu perkara diambil berdasarkan niat. Okay, contohnya, whatever you are doing, it depends on your intention. So intentions are very important. So that is one of the legal fiqh maxim, the legal fiqh maxim that had been established. For example, antara dua hal yang buruk, ambil satu yang kurang membawa apa, macam contohnya you have these two things that will harm you, take the lesser one lah. Okay, tapi I tak tahu macam nak translate bahasa Melayu pula. Okay, daripada dua perkara yang buruk tu, do we have anyone who's raising hand? Do we have any questions? Okay, so antara dua perkara hal yang buruk, so you have to take the lesser one. Okay, so that is among the legal maxim that have been established. Okay, so despite the nature of this period, the legal scholars and jurists' ultimate goal still was to deduce laws from Quran and Sunnah that conform to the script and objective of the Sharia. So of course, when we wanted to make new rulings, we have to go back to the primary sources, which is Al-Quran and Sunnah. So due to different approaches and methodologies of different legal scholars, different schools were developed. So then we have this school of Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, Hanafi, and these schools, they are, like I have mentioned in the first class, they are developing the Sharia rulings based on Quranic texts and also Sunnah. It is the right one. However, their approach might be different. So the Shafi'i school, they have a very rigid rules as compared to the Hanbali. Okay, Hanbali have quite a lenient way of looking at Sharia rulings. Okay, it doesn't mean that they are wrong or they are less good. Okay, it doesn't mean that Shafi'i is the best one, Hanbali is the second best. No, they are not being rated like that. Okay, but they are having different approach, different methodology because of their perspectives, their perspective for different because of their location, for example, their culture and traditions, their communities. So that's why it is different. However, we are able to see that during this period, Islamic jurisprudence matured and developed fully. So we are having different transaction. For example, they are having business, they are having they are serving people. They are doing business by serving people. So that's why as things changing, the Islamic jurisprudence also must have developed quickly to cater the needs of the Muslim people during that time. So the period after the Prophet may be divided into two phases. Okay, the first one is the rightly guided. Guys, do you need a break? Or I can continue, because usually I give breaks in between of my lecture, but not last time because we were rushing. Do you need a break, or can I continue?
I think you could continue, Miss.
All right, okay. So the period after the Prophet time, you can divide it into two phases. Okay, the first one, being guided by the Caliphate and lasted for about 30 years. So this one start from Sayyidina Abu Bakar as-Siddiq, and then terminated when Hassan ibn Ali relinquished his position to Muawiyah. And then the second phase commenced with Muawiyah and the ensuing rule of the Bani Umayyah until the end of the first 100 years. Okay, so we have these four caliphs: Sayyidina Abu Bakar, we have Umar, we have Uthman bin Affan, and also Ali. Okay, so these four caliphs are the Khulafa ar-Rashidin, and then these are the first phase after the prophets die. Okay, after the prophets demise lah. Okay, until the time of Ali, and then started with Bani Muawiyah, and then end with Bani Umayyah until the end of the first 100 years. So after the death of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, his companions pledged their support to the first Caliph, which is Sayyidina Abu Bakar as-Siddiq, who ruled for 2 years and 3 months. Okay, the Sayyidina Abu Bakar only lasted for 2.5 years. Almost 2.5 years. And then followed by Umar ibn al-Khattab, who ruled for 10 years and 6 months and was succeeded by the Caliph Uthman bin Affan, who ruled for 12 years. Okay, and then they have certain conflicts and crises. You have to Google and read. We have to go back and find books and whatsoever to understand this. This period is the crucial one, where the Muslim community had been divided into different understanding. Okay, he was followed by Caliph Ali ibn Abi Talib, who ruled for 4 years and 9 months. Okay, Ali was succeeded by his son Hassan, who ruled for about 6 months until he handed over the reign of power to Muawiyah, thus concluding the period known as the Khulafa ar-Rashidin on the prophetic model that lasted for 30 years as predicted by the Prophet Muhammad SAW. So the Prophet had already said that after his death, there will be a certain administration based or model after his modeling his administration. Okay, and that was administered by these four Khulafa ar-Rashidin, these four Khalifa, which is known as Khulafa ar-Rashidin. So what was the Islamic jurisprudence like during the period of the rightly guided Khalifa? Okay, how did the Muslim live during this time, these 30 years? Okay, the four Khalifa were all trained in jurisprudence and other matters of Islam by the best teacher, which is the Prophet himself. They were very capable, but at the same time, consultation, or known as shura. Shura is where you come and sit together, have a meeting, have a discussion. Okay, they don't do it like you do it on your own, I do it on my own. No, they usually have this shura session for them to form an essential part of their role. So in addition, the spirit was one that had not yet witnessed many significant changes, with the result number of new issues that required ijtihad were considerably few. So basically during this time, the second stage, like I have told you, the Islamic jurisprudence, the rulings are already there. It's already been cited, everything have been prepared for them. So they just follow whatever the Prophet left them with. Okay, they don't have to like do many new rulings. They don't have to come into conclusion to many new things. because during that time, the changes are quite as not as much as what we have today in 2022. So like today, the world is changing very fast. Okay, when you go to sleep tonight, like tomorrow morning, something else are coming up to the world. Okay, they have like new we will have development almost every day. So during that time, they are very these four capable Khalifa, they are trained to follow whatever they have and then make rulings only if they need to. So it's very few. So during the Abu Bakr times, okay, these are the example of ijtihad. Okay, during Abu Bakr time, when the companion were unsure as to where they ought to bury the Prophet, okay, Abu Bakr resolved the disagreement by referring to the Sunnah. See, Abu Bakr, during this time, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq doesn't have to come into a conclusion by doing ijtihad, by performing al-qiyas or like apa asking everybody to come and then practice ijma and so on. They'll just follow whatever they have in as-sunnah. So the inheritance of the grandmother who came inquiring about her share of the inheritance, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was unaware and thus agreed to consult the people. Al-Mughirah ibn Shubha informed him that the Messenger of Allah granted her 1/6 and he was supported by Muhammad ibn Maslama, and Abu Bakr accepted this and gave her the 1/6. So when a grandmother came to Abu Bakr and asked about her shares regarding property, Abu Bakr can just go to certain people and ask about what happened last time. Do you remember during the prophets, when the prophets alive, what did he say? Because they live in the same time, so they have they knew each other. So we can't do that. If a grandmother come to like one of our Muslim jurists today and ask what is a property, we cannot, like, we do not live together in the Prophet times. Okay, so the following example, during Umar's time, Umar al-Khattab time, his decision to gather the people behind a single imam for the Tarawih prayer with 20 rak'ahs in the month of Ramadan. So I believe that Umar come to this conclusion by referring to the Sunnah, to Al-Quran and Sunnah. So they don't have to the Sunnah. So he doesn't have to perform any of his personal opinion, especially because this is regarding ibadah. Okay, during Uthman time, he completed the process of compiling the Quran. So is it okay for him to compile the Quran? Is that allowed? Is that actually allowed? Okay, in 2022, we know that it's already allowed. Why? Because we already do different version of the Quran. We have different types of font. We have different types of sizes. Different types of sizes of Al-Quran. We have online. We have the online version, the PDF text. We have the hard copy text, and etc. Because in 2022, because we were already past that time. But during the Uthman times, compiling Al-Quran is one of the issue that they have to think thoroughly whether it can be done or not. Okay, and then Uthman compiled them, and then he gathered everything on a single script. That was done by him looking at the Al-Quran and As-Sunnah whether it can be done or not. So Uthman during this time refer to the primary sources of law. So he decided to, and then during Uthman time also, he decided to shorten his prayer during Hajj because he regarded himself as a resident of Mecca. He maintained that shortening the prayer was related to traveling and not connected to Hajj. Okay, so whenever you travel, you are now become a musafir. So you are allowed to practice to shorten your prayer or to combine your prayer, okay, because of the traveling part, because you are musafir. So during Ali times, okay, example of ijtihad is Umar intended to stone a mentally ill woman for adultery when she delivered after 6 months. So a person had uh, a woman who had commit adultery and then got pregnant, and then after she delivered her baby, she is also a mentally ill woman. So Umar wanted to stone this woman to death. Okay, so Ali opposed this and supported his objection with verse Surah Al-Baqarah. Okay, we can see that Ali is referring to the first or the primary sources of Islam, which is Surah Al-Baqarah. He concluded that the shortest time to delivery is 6 months. And he went on to say that Allah had overlooked and pardoned one who is insane. So Ali try to consulted with Umar, saying that you are not supposed to to stone this woman to death just because she was a mentally ill woman. Okay, and then according to this Surah Al-Baqarah, that we are supposed to overlook and pardon, especially the pardon part, the one who is insane. So when Ali come to this conclusion, Ali is referring to the first or the primary sources of Islam. So that's why I've stated that during this time they don't have to it's not like they don't have to perform ijtihad as much as the Muslim jurists have to do now. Okay, so there are other jurists during the period of the rightly guided Khalifa. There were a number of companions who were known for their expertise in jurisprudence. Okay, the Prophet is already we don't have the Prophet with us during this time, so everybody have to discuss and share among them about their knowledge and how they're supposed to conduct themselves. So we have here the other jurists. We have Aisha, which is the wife of the Prophet himself, who is also the daughter of Abu Bakr. We have Hafsa. Hafsa is the wife of the Prophet as well, and she was the daughter of Sayyidina Umar. And then we have Anas ibn Malik, which is the last companion who died in Basra. We have Abu Hurairah. Okay, this one is the one who narrated most of the hadith. We have Abdul Allah ibn Amri ibn al-As, Abu Ayyub al-Ansari. We have Maimuna. Maimuna also is one of the Prophet wife. We have Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas and many others. Okay, so performing ijtihad. So we know that ijtihad derived from the Arabic words which mean jahada, which means attempt. Okay, we went through this before. According to Imam Ghazali, ijtihad means expand one's capacity in a certain matter and use it to the utmost. Some scholars have defined it as a mean of expanding the fullest capacity by the mujtahid in seeking the knowledge of Sharia. So basically, ijtihad is an attempt, is like a try for you to come into a conclusion. You have to determine certain rulings. Okay, so it is accepted as one of the concept in Islam for you to come into a certain hukum. So Islam, like I've mentioned, that as we change, we need new rulings. Okay, so to respond to the changing needs of society, Muslim jurists and scholars have relied on the well-established process of innovation known as ijtihad. So the significance of ijtihad is to make sure that we people know how to conduct ourselves. Okay, it is in this changeable phenomena, it become necessary to take the structural review of Islamic law. But it must be kept in mind that the spirit and discipline of Islamic law must be alive and does not clash with the aspect of evolution of human life. Okay, in the process of lawmaking, the achievement of this responsibility is proved by ijtihad. Okay, so the scholars of fiqh have defined ijtihad as when a scholar of faqih exert his abilities in order to ascertain a speculative Sharia rulings. Okay, so I'm not gonna read everything here. Okay, we know that the process must be based in Al-Quran and also As-Sunnah. And then we must make reason, deduction, and we must prioritize, okay? No, no independent, Ijtihad is also an Islamic legal term that means independent reasoning or the utmost effort an individual can put forth in an activities. Okay, and then the person who conducted Ijtihad is known as Mujtahid. I'm not going to read everything here, okay? Because we already went through this part. Okay, and then there are certain arguments whether the gate of Ijtihad should be closed or not. Okay, because at certain time, we already have a lot of ideas on how to live daily. Okay. So Ijtihad is a transmission of the rules of Al-Quran and Sunnah. So question arises that in this era, Ijtihad can be performed or not. So in 2002, can we still practice Ijtihad or not? Because some scholars believe that the gate of Ijtihad, the opportunity for you to perform your personal opinion should be stopped. Okay, because we don't want any other school after that. We have the 4 main schools with us, okay, and then we don't want people to misuse the opportunity to perform personal opinion to confuse or misuse the opportunity. Okay, we don't want to confuse the Muslim people, so they wanted to rely on whatever we have, whatever is in existence. Okay, however, some scholars believe that the gate of Ijtihad is closed in 13th century. Some believe that it is stopped at the at the 10th century. Okay, on the behalf of, they believe that all the answers were already there and we are supposed to practice taklid. Taklid means that you only have to follow and obey without demanding any reasons behind whatever you are following. Okay, so you just follow whatever they have without asking, without thinking, without practicing this analogy deduction. You don't have to do your research. You don't have to analyze everything. You just have to perform it wholly. Okay, so but the movement for the revival of Ijtihad began with Ibn Taymiyyah, who negated the concept of taklid. Modern the revival of the Sharia practice, the Ijtihad practice start from 18th to 20th century, but they also face the problem on the closure of the gate of because they face a problem when the gate of Ijtihad had been closed. They stress that it need to be opened again in order for them to meet the challenges that were faced by Islam. In fact, the door of Ijtihad was never closed for certain people, for certain Muslim jurists, but they are conducting the practice of Ijtihad in a very limited area, okay, and then within the limits of certain school of law. Okay, historically, this term developed only as a statement. Okay, some author believe that the closing of the gate of Ijtihad is only a statement that have been expressed in order to limit people's opportunity to practice Ijtihad, because we don't want everybody to give their perspective, and then we're gonna have like a trouble to determine which one is the right one, especially if we have a very active person telling his opinion. So we are scared that he or she gonna have another school of law, which is especially if it is contradict with the Islamic teaching. Okay, so we come to the third stage of development of Sharia. Okay, during this stage, the mujtahid interacted with one another, but taklid began to dominate. So after this Khulafa Rashidin time, and then after the Bani Umayyah, Bani Muawiyah, and also Umayyah times had finished, and then certain part of with a certain period after that come the third stage, where in this third stage they don't want to practice, they want to limit the ijtihad practice. Okay, that's why I stated here the taklid began to dominate. People people stop expressing their opinion, but just follow whatever have been established during the first and second stage. Okay, many scholars were content with the jurisprudence of the one of the four schools, and sometimes their statements were even regarded as evidence. So this then is the reason for the statement made by some that during this period they were only scholars who were attached to a school, and they were not totally independent mujtahid like the ones mentioned earlier. So they believe that they don't have anyone who is qualified to give opinions. Okay, it is reported by Imam al-Nawawi in his commentary to al-Muhadhab that with the termination of 400 years, it was not possible to find an independent mujtahid. So Imam al-Nawawi believed that it is dangerous for we just to pick anybody to become a mujtahid, to practice ijtihad. Okay, so these seem to be the general trend, but there were still some accomplished scholars who attempted ijtihad. So this is what I was saying just now, that the closing of the gate of ijtihad is only an express statement that have been made popular just to limit to limit the world, everybody to just express their personal opinion. We wanted the practice to be exclusively done by people who is qualified. Okay, so in essence, ijtihad actually did not die. Okay, the practice is not die, the gate is not being closed. Instead, the enthusiasm and somewhat dwindle, the trials, the distraction increased, and the Muslim world have divided into smaller states and areas. So these in some ways impacted on the jurisprudence. So do we still need to practice ijtihad or not? For the fulfillment of requirements of modern world, Islamic law have adapted by the way of legislation. So Islamic legislative principles are based on that views, which are not for specific time, specific reason, or specific age, but it is for every period and for human beings. So because Islamic law, Islamic legislative, Islamic law, okay, Sharia law, supposed to expand until the end of time. So we are supposed to make sure that it is flexible, and then it can manage, it can handle, conduct those at different age, different person, at every in every moment, so at every period. Okay, so because of that, it needs to develop. Contemporary jurists fully try to remain the significance of Islam in the modern world and able to solve the problem by saying the necessity of the modern age. So because of that, ijtihad is supposed to become a legal device which applied by the jurists from the primary sources as a legislative function for any kind of new issues. Okay, so then we come to a conclusion. Okay, we finished the class early because we don't have any break in between. Okay, wait. Sorry, can you give me a few minutes? Wait. Okay, so as a conclusion, the methodology of the Quran is such that in most cases it deals with broader principle and does not go into the specific. So we know the Quran, it deal with broader principle, however, it doesn't have the detail. Quran told us to perform prayer, we have to give zakah, we have to fast during the Ramadan time, but we don't have the details on how we're supposed to practice it. This then make it possible for future generation to extrapolating laws from the principle enshrined in the Quran. So because of that, when it discussed the broader principle, until these days, we can still extract things from Quran. Okay, it's like the most comprehensive text. It is the most comprehensive text, and then we extract the general rule or the broader principle from it, and then from it we establish the details rulings. Okay, so we are well aware that because of public welfare, or certain rulings may change when certain conditions change. And then if Allah make the Quran become very specific, and then it will not be a practical one. Okay, at certain time, Al-Quran will not become something, will not become will not become the book of reference anymore, because whatever discussed is it did not cater the needs of the new generations today. So because of that, the Quran need to be made, one of the criteria is it is flexible, general, discussing about broader principle, okay, so that it is still relevant until this date. Okay, so therefore, issues which the Quran has discussed is somewhat detailed, was to show human beings that such issues will never change. Okay, for example, intoxication is not allowed. So whatever intoxicated you is also not allowed. So this further reaffirms the point that these are not open for ijtihad and include issues related to inheritance, family matters, and some of the punishment for major crimes. So there are certain things, but there are certain details that were put for certain things. For example, the inheritance. It is mentioned specifically that how much you can earn as a wife if your husband died. How much you can, what is the ratio between the male and female, the son and the daughter. It's 2 to 1. Okay, the son's gonna get two portion as compared to the girl who's gonna get only 1 portion. So there are certain specific rules that have been made in Quran, and that one cannot be changed. It is not made general, it is made specific. Okay, but mostly it is general. So therefore, once we have understood the above, we will understand the need for sunnah, which clarify and provide details on many principles in the Quran. So because of that, we need sunnah to detail out the procedures for us. Okay, so in order for us to perform prayer, the first one, you need to do this. You have to take wudu, for example. You have to take your ablution, and then the first step is what? The second step, third step. Only then we can perform our prayer. So having said this, we must note, even though the Prophet provided us with details in many aspects of our life, there is also a substantial amount that requires continuous ijtihad. So of course, whatever the Prophet have provided us is things that we have to follow. Okay, however, in the current world, we also have things that need new rulings. This helps us understand that the hadith reported by Abu Dawud, wherein the Prophet said, indeed Allah sends for this community or ummah at the head of every 100 years one who will revive and renew for its religion. So it's already, the Prophet's already said that in our community there will be a leader that will help us with determination, to determine certain rulings. Okay, that is still in line with the Sharia, but they are needed. Okay, the Muslim jurists are needed. So we have observed through the various stages in the development of Islamic jurisprudence that the leges followed a methodology that has its root in the life of the Prophet Muhammad SAW. Over the centuries, there were various factors that influenced the nature of Islamic jurisprudence until we eventually saw the emergence of the 4 schools of jurisprudence, which withstood different obstacles and ultimately became firmly rooted and established within the Muslim community. So the development of Islamic jurisprudence was not without disagreement. However, the disagreement did not result in conflict. So after carefully studying the development of Islamic jurisprudence, we will find that in later centuries, when Islam spread to the other parts of the world, when the Muslim interacted with other people, other communities, we found new cultures, new and unprecedented issue have arose. So yet this issue were adequately dealt with, and practical and workable solutions and verdicts were provided from the principle of jurisprudence. So we need to find a solution. We need to determine a hukum or a ruling in order for us to keep on living in this world. Okay, there are those who claim that the ideal solution is to return to Quran and Sunnah, which is right, without the need for the fourth school of jurisprudence. So that is not really, I'm not agreeing with this. Of course, we have to follow the fourth school of jurisprudence, or else how else we can so we can keep on our how else we can live our life according to Islamic teaching. I myself cannot I cannot do the rulings on my own. Okay, I don't have such knowledge to do it, so reference is needed. So this too is problematic, as it opens the door for unregulated ijtihad and allow the unqualified individual to attempt to deduce law from the divine text. Of course, if we do not have some qualified people, some trustworthy people to follow, we're gonna have trouble, because they are people who are gonna take advantage and then perform ijtihad without having adequate knowledge. Okay, so we must be aware that the process of ijtihad is based on documented and research methodology, which is known as usul al-fiqh. The skill and tools utilized by the jurists are both acquired and inspired, and thus this is not possible for someone who claims to merely have access to large number of hadiths to be jurists. So the four schools of jurisprudence are not a negative aspect in our religion. So we know that this four school, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Hanbali, Hanafi, did I mention everything quite right? Oh no, I left Maliki. Okay, they are not the negative aspect of our religion. So some people think that these four schools are having different ideas about Islam, but it is actually not. They are all correct, but they are looking things at different perspective and then applying it according to that according to that particular time, looking at specific people, okay, practicing it at certain people who practice certain tradition, etc., etc. So we must know the variety of this school is healthy, because this school provide us with a wealth of literature. So now we know that, because when we say Islam, people think that, oh, it is very specific, it is very rigid. If you in this religion, we cannot do this, we cannot do that. It is very limited. And what we can do is very limited, but actually it is not. When we have this four school allowing us to practice different to use different approach for a specific things. So you have like variety of approaches. So that makes Islam wide, can be more accepted by people. So they assist us in situation when a single school failed to provide an adequate solution for a problem. Okay. For example, you ambil wuduk, kalau ikut Syafi'i, you tersentuh lelaki, okay, you sentuh yang bukan mahram, automatically the wuduk tu batal lah. So you have to take it again. So you have to go take another ablution. So what happened when you perform Hajj, kan, you tengah perform umrah ke haji ke dekat Mekah, you cannot follow Syafi'i rule. So you have to go to I think it's Hanbali, saying that even though you bersentuhan, okay, lelaki atau perempuan yang bukan mahram, tetapi without any intention, okay, then you punya ablution tu will still valid lah, legit lah, so you don't have to take it again. So by having these varieties of hukum, okay, not like varieties of hukum, different approaches, it allowed Muslim to live a more convenient life. Okay, so Islam will become easy, so people will no more longer say that Islam is hard, it's too rigid, it is too strict. Okay, so when this happened, then scholars and jurists from one school look towards one of the other schools, so we learn from each other. The differences and disagreement were not based on individual wishes or even partisanship. Instead, they were the result of precise principles that were formulated with the sole intention of arriving at the truth and gaining the pleasure of Allah. So we wanted to live our life conveniently, but still in line with the Sharia teaching. So this disagreement must never be the reason and cause for disunity. Okay, so we must respect each other. When you go to the Holy Land, you go to Mecca, you're gonna see people performing salah. It's not like different ways, but some of them, they can hold their babies, they can go and catch their kids first and put them and then continue doing salah and everything. So we must respect everybody ways of performing salah lah, of performing their or conducting their daily life lah. So because we have variety of schools, so if and when this happen, then this is due to ignorance of the spirit and nature of the Sharia, is evidences and the teaching of its scholars. Okay, lastly, however, appealing to the call written to the Quran and Sunnah without the fourth school and jurisprudence may sound, we must ask ourselves if the view of the ijtihad of the scholars of the fourth school really and truly goes beyond the scope of the Quran and Sunnah to impress the need for a new jurisprudence. So we must also be careful, be very cautious whenever we wanted to come to a new ruling, whether we already have it in Quran or Sunnah. Do we have to perform ijtihad or not? And then if it is contradict to the Sharia teaching or not. So we must be mindful of the hadith which states the Muslim community will never unite or confer on something which is deviant or misleading. So we must remember that we are not supposed to team up. We are not supposed to collaborate with people who are trying to misguided the other Muslim people in terms of legal rulings, okay, in terms of hukum. All right, so that's all for today. We have like extra few more minutes before we end. So stop sharing. So I'm gonna share with you the slide, okay? Computer. Yeah. Okay, I already shared with you my slide. Okay, any questions?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. So to avoid like misconception towards the matter that you have given, I would like to ask about the history of the Islamic law, or specifically the timeline of the history of the Sharia itself. So before the finding of the Quran as the main source of the Islamic law, also Sunnah, as we know from your slide, as like the first stage in your slide, along with the distribution and also the development of the Islamic law or Sharia itself, what do people, especially Muslim in the past, use instead of this Islamic law, or like what Quran have stated? Thank you, Miss.
All right, you mean before the revelation of Al-Quran?
Yes, like before the first stage, because as we can see at the first stage, it contained like the content of the Quran. So what people use before the Quran itself, or maybe before the development of the Sunnah and the Hadith.
All right, okay, I get what you mean. Okay, before the revelation of Al-Quran, before the Jibril come and met Rasulullah and tell him that you're gonna be the next prophet, you're gonna be the leader of the Muslim people, you're gonna guide them. Okay, before that happens, okay, during the other prophet times, we have the other three kitabs. We have the other three kitabs known as we have what is the first one? We have Taurat, we have Zabur, and also Injil. So these are the three kitabs which comes from Allah, and the last one is Al-Quran. Okay, we have four kitabs in Islam. Okay, the previous prophet, they are referring to this one. Okay, you have to can you please go back and check which one which one comes which prophets who receive this particular kitabs. Okay, there are three before Al-Quran comes, and Al-Quran is the final one, and then it is the most comprehensive text. All right.
Yes.
All right, is there any more questions? May I know what are the subjects that you are taking in this particular course? What are the other subjects that you are learning?
Other than Islamic law,
Yes.
we took like we mainly studied about the law in Indonesia. So basically, we study about like the administrative law in Indonesia, along as with the criminal. We learn about the criminal code and etc. That actually implemented the law that implemented in Indonesia. That what we basically studied, Miss.
Oh, all right. And then when you graduated, you're gonna graduated with what is the certification? Is it Bachelor of Laws?
Yes. So we have the title of Sarjana Hukum. It's the same as LLB in international graduation.
Right.
It the same. It is the same with the LLB. So it undergraduate program.
Okay. I wanted to know whether you learned the other the non-Islamic subject as well.
Yes, we do study.
Okay, is there any more questions? Are you gonna have exam for this subject?
We actually have a mid test on 2 weeks, on previous 2 weeks before this class, Miss, or maybe 3 weeks before today. So the final will be in December, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. Okay. Okay. And because we're not gonna meet again after this is our last meeting. So let me drop you my email. If you have any questions, you can come to me. You can always drop me an email. Okay.
Thank you, Miss.
All right. Welcome. Can we end the class, or you wanted to wait a little bit more? If you have any questions, are you still thinking? All right, since we do not have break in between, so usually will have like 3 times break for 10 minutes. So that's why we finish it early. I think we can stop it now if that's okay with you.
I think we're okay with that, Miss. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much for participating. I hope that you get the benefits, and as this is the last class, I would like also to apologize if there is any mistake done by me. And I pray that all of you will be successful person, and please make a prayer for me too. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Miss.
Yes, thank you.
And have a great day and also stay healthy, miss.
Yes, thank you, Nanda. Take care, everyone.
Care, miss.